All right, I'd like to call the May 24th, 2022 action meeting to order. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just before we proceed, could I ask for a moment of silence for the 15 students and teacher killed today in Texas so we can reflect on their memories? Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Macro.
Mr. Adams.
Here.
Dr. Anderson. Here. Mr. Caligiuri.
Here.
Ms. Chudderwitz.
Here.
Mr. Devine.
Here.
Mr. Hill.
Here.
Mr. Sokolsky.
Here.
Mrs. Stepnick.
Here.
Ms. Wetmore.
Present.
Student Representative Ms. Strapjo.
Here.
Thank you. Recommend approval of the following minutes as listed below: the Tuesday, April 26th board action meeting, the Tuesday, May 10th, 2022 board discussion meeting, and the Tuesday, May 10th, 2022 special voting meeting.
I make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. I'm sorry, say that again? Oh, I missed the executive session. The board met in executive session on May 24th, 2022 to discuss matters of litigation, safety, personnel, and real estate. Recognitions, Mrs. Macro.
We'd like to invite the Friends of Rachel clubs for the high school, O Block, and Holiday Park to step forward to the podium. Also, if anyone in this group is a senior, we would ask before you sit back down at the end of recognitions to please let the board know what you're going to be doing after graduation. I'm sorry? I'm sorry? This is the whole entire group, all three schools. We also want to present each group with a certificate of recognition just to thank you for your commitment to creating a positive and connected school environment.
Thank you.
High school, we would like to first on Hi. Here she is. Mrs. Jorgensen. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am very happy and very proud to be standing before you today to talk to you just a little bit about the Friends of Rachel Club. And as far as the 5-6 building, I can tell you that it went off very positively with our students. We have over 53 kids that are involved in the Friends of Rachel Club, and they were their names were given to us from their homeroom teachers. And then as we progressed throughout the year with the Friends of Rachel Club, other students asked about it and wanted to join as well. So the O Block Junior High did the same thing at their building, and we had the help of Mrs. Cassidy Pytash, who is the social worker not only at Holiday Park, but at O Block, and worked with Joe and Jackie over there. So through the Friends of Rachel Club, we empower the students to be involved in the processes of developing a positive school environment that promotes compassion, empathy, and self-awareness. Our clubs are still in the infancy phase, but we are looking forward to next year and a full school year with the 4 Club. 4 Club members are tasked with planning and organizing activities that center around the 5 tenets of Rachel's Challenge: speaking with kindness, looking for the best in others, seeking positive influences, dreaming big, and starting a chain reaction of compassion and goodwill. Both Holiday Park and O Block 4 teams have completed individual school projects and have had the opportunity to work on some group projects to further the mission across our campus. Some of our projects included lollipop flowers to welcome incoming 5th graders and incoming 7th graders, positive pathway filled with pinwheels and messages of encouragement, spreading seeds of kindness, reading across America student readers, Rachel's Challenge jam boards, and student morning greeters. All of those things were carried out with success. Now, I know that maybe it wasn't perfect and nothing really ever is, but these kids took leadership roles as young kids, and I love that. And two of the three of these kids did want to say a little something about what they felt the impact of Rachel's Challenge had on the school environment, and that's what I really think is important. The leadership that they took and how they think it changed the school environment in a good way. So I'm going to introduce to you James Graves. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
What did you think Friends of Rachel did for you in school?
Friends of Rachel was very amazing. It did a lot. It was great, actually.
Can you think of one thing that stood out? And then you're off.
The thing that stood out was how people got together and actually did it.
Right, and it was good. Thanks, James.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi.
Hey.
This is Frank.
My name is Frank Altier. I'm really glad I got to be a part of Rachel's Challenge this year. I really did notice people being kinder to everyone because of this, and I'm just really glad I got to be a part of it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brooke Matthew, and I definitely would say that Rachel's did a big impact on the holiday park, and it definitely made other people better people, and it will definitely make our school a better place.
So on behalf of O Block Junior High and Holiday Park Elementary, I did want to thank you for affording us the opportunity to have this program in our school this year. Thank you for giving us that chance. Thank you for giving them the leadership role, and thank you for allowing us to make a better impact on these kids. Yes, it was our first year, but we're making our way, and I look forward to next year even being better. Thank you very much.
Any seniors?
Right, if we could have our high school Friends of Rachel group come forward, please.
So shy.
Hi everyone, I'm Eliana Jorgensen. I'm one of the sponsors, but most importantly I wanted to introduce Allison Vincent and Mackenzie Kamont because they're going to tell you guys all of the amazing things that this amazing group of students did this year.
Hi, I'm Allison Vincent. I'm the president of Friends of Rachel at the high school.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Kamuk. I'm the vice president of 4 Club.
So this year we did all sorts of things. First off, we did Cups of Cheer. And during the holidays, we sold cups. It had hot chocolate and a little candy cane in it. And you could buy it for your friends, and the school would send out kids to give them to those students. And you could write a note with it as well for the students.
Around Valentine's Day, we sold Hugs and Hershey's, which we sold for $1, and students could give them to anyone, or they could just buy them for themselves, which was 1 hug and 5 Hershey's.
Next, we did, for Random Acts of Kindness Week, we went outside and we just did chalk and just did positive and inspirational messages for whenever the kids would come in. They would just see it as they're walking into the building.
And that's almost the same thing as the Post-it notes, but the Post-it notes were in the bathroom with like inspiring messages like, you got this, you can do it, and like, you're never alone.
And then we partnered with the Earth Day Club, and we helped sponsor a thrift shop. And you could donate money, and you would be able to buy something with that.
Next, for Administrative Assistance Appreciation Day, we made cards and a thank you cards, thank you notes, like a ribbon or a chain, and then we gave them to the assistants to thank you and to know that they were appreciated.
Next, we did Toys for Tots. Every year the school does this. So we just helped out by having the students given presents. giving the children opportunities to do arts and crafts. And we just helped bring holiday cheer to all the kids.
So for Reading Across America, we went to the elementary schools to help out with the little kids and read to them. And it was a very cool experience, and we got to help out with them and like make crafts too.
And we are excited for the next year's Friends of Rachel has to come. We are looking forward to it and can't wait to see what it can do to the schools.
Everybody smile. Any seniors?
How can I do?
Awesome.
We have one more recognition.
Mr. Nathan Piper?
I just want to congratulate Mr. Pfeiffer for being selected as one of the 50 teachers nationally at the Disney Imagination Campus Celebration that you'll be attending in a couple days.
Very, very quickly coming up.
Just on behalf of the district, the administrative team, our faculty and staff, we couldn't be prouder or think of a better representative to represent everything that Plum has to offer in you attending this recognition. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You want to talk a little bit about the process and what you're going to be doing over the next few days?
Sure. So in October or September, I believe, I got a message from a parent of a student that I had that knows that I'm a very big Disney fan, my family and I, and saw the opportunity that they were having in honor of their 50th anniversary this year. They were having a contest for 50 teachers that showed innovation in the classroom. And I've been lucky enough to have great support teach amazing students in Plum, have great support from the families, from the parents, from my principals, from my coworkers of the different things that I've been willing, or different things that I've tried in my classroom. And I've always had people around me that said, "That sounds awesome, let's do it." And so without that support, I obviously would not be here, and without that, the words of encouragement from that parent as well. But from that, we've been able to I've done a good number of things over the past couple of years with running our own student-run business out of Holiday, first out of Regency and then out of Holiday Park, and brought different ways of bringing some STEM ideas, some 3D printing. We were at a competition today with Design to Make a Difference, where we had students designing a project to help people in some way, so they got to present their materials to judges, and we're looking forward to hearing how they did once we get the results tomorrow morning. But throughout this process, I had to enter an essay based on the innovation things that I've put forth in my classroom, and I can honestly say when I got that email in January, I thought it was a scam. Using the technology and the things that we've learned in classes about, checking for verifying emails and all of those sort of things. It did not have the hook, but I was very certain that it was not real. But then as more information has come out, my family and I are very excited. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to go down, but we're going to participate in a conference down there on innovation and creativity. There's going to be an arts and humanity panel, a STEM and technology panel, performing arts panel as well. So I'm looking forward to learning some new creative ideas and things to bring back to my students.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That is the end of our recognitions. If there are any families that would like to leave at this time, you're welcome to do so. Anyone that would like to stay, please stay seated. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll welcome citizens' comments on agenda items.
Okay, comments on agenda items, we would welcome anyone from the audience to step forward to the podium at this time. This is specifically to make comment on items that you will find on the agenda this evening. You will have 5 minutes to speak. I will have a timer on the monitor that you can review your time. You'll get a 30-second warning when your time is coming to a close. When you step up to the podium, please state your name and your address within Plum. This, again, just as a reminder, is a time for making comments and suggestions as opposed to a question and answer session with the board members. Whenever your time is finished, I do ask that you just step over to the end of the table here to put your name down so that I spell it correctly for the minutes. Is there anybody that would like to step forward at this time?
Hi everyone, my name's Lisa Stwicki. I live at 1028 McAllister Drive. I've lived there for approximately 21 years. I grew up in Plum. I have a couple of things on the agenda that I would like to talk about. The first thing is renaming of the schools. I'm totally against that. I think there's a lot of activity going on Facebook where people are very upset over this, and we all feel it's pretty much like a waste of money, and there hasn't been any type of investigation on, what benefits this would cause simply by doing these renamings. Secondly, we also are aware that you're thinking about increasing our taxes. So, the economy right now is pretty horrible, as everybody knows. So it's pretty bad time to try thinking of doing something that's going to raise our taxes that isn't necessary. So, and then I'd like to talk about number 21, equity and inclusion. Now, this doesn't have very much definition as behind what you were going to talk about on equity and inclusion, but I'm going to address this directly to Mr. Devine. Recently, I've come upon the knowledge...
Excuse me, before you go on, just remember to direct your comments towards me and the board as a whole.
Okay, that's great, for the whole board, because this should not be going on.
Thank you.
Okay. As I said, recently I came upon the knowledge that Mr. Sokolsky and sometimes even Ms. Charterwitz have been purposely excluded from school board emails simply because someone doesn't care for their opinion. It was done intentionally. When you include all other school board members in that same email, but purposely exclude Mr. Sokolsky and even sometimes Ms. Charterwitz, not only is it immature and a form of bullying, but it also disenfranchises the thousands of Plum voters that elected those two people. Tonight, I'm asking for you to correct this wrong publicly and ensure that it will never occur again. If you're not able to work with each other, then please, equally, you need to work with each other equally and fairly. And I say this to everybody on the board. Nobody should be excluding anyone from anything. All of your communication. If it was happening to any of the other people in here, I would be defending you also. Okay? If you're not able to do that, then you should resign, period, and let somebody step up that can, no matter what side of the aisle they came from. And that's all I'm saying. So I would really like for you guys to get this resolved tonight. That's all I had to say.
Thank you.
My name is Safia Davis, and I live on 11 Kinzua Road. So I would like to thank the school board, athletic director, and the superintendent for approving of the girls wrestling team. Having a girls wrestling team allows us to compete against other girls and levels the playing field so that we can continue to compete at a higher level and enjoy our sport. We can assure you that with your approval of the team, we will work as hard as we can and continue to make the school district, our parents, and our teammates proud. I think I can safely speak for my teammate Madison Killmeyer and my team captain Elena Clausen when I say that we are as solid as a team can get and we are only getting stronger. We have a lot of off-season work to accomplish and some recruiting of other girls as well. I have one final thought to express. If anyone is present in this room who has a daughter in high school, tell her to sign up and join us. I can tell you from my own experience that I have created so many amazing friendships, not only with my teammates, but with my coaches as well. Come join us, learn a new sport, create new friends, but most importantly, be a part of the beginning of a revolution. Thank you for your time and your vote of confidence.
Good evening. My name is Eric Castile. I live at 120 Valleyfields Drive. I've lived there for 20 years now, but I've also been a resident of Plum for 30 years. I'm really concerned about looking at our budget today that is going to be voted on this evening. I'm looking at things that I really don't see as a businessman for many, many years, working for in my own companies as well as for Fortune 500 companies at very high levels and understanding finance. We have no actuals to compare our budget figures to. So there's some things that I look at that just don't pass the sniff test. We're looking at a 4.5% increase this year. We're all reeling and still recovering from the pandemic. I really think it's not being responsible to the community by putting this increase in. If it's absolutely necessary that we need a small increase, I realize that for the past 4 years we've not had an increase, but we've also not had an increase in our property taxes for the last 17 years. So does that mean, well, we haven't had it, so now it's time for us to do that? No. There needs to be good reasons to do that, to increase that. If there are programs that make sense that we don't have, that's great. But if it comes down to our costs, are we doing anything that we're really looking at to reduce our costs or do cost containment? I've noticed that just in salary areas, and I believe our teachers should get paid what they get paid, but it's a 6.8% increase in salaries for our teachers. Now, I've had to have hard meetings with union representatives sitting across the table, working for a Fortune 500 company that was having problems. And we had a contract, but we went back and sat down with them and said, look, we're having trouble. Now, as part of that, our executive team took a pay cut to show they were just as committed. And we worked with the union not to take a pay increase for that time to allow us to keep going. Here we are. I, for the past 2 years, worked for the equivalent of a Fortune 500 company. I've not had a salary increase. We've had wage freezes. And I would venture to say that maybe 75% of the people that live here in Plum are in that same boat. But now we're going to increase our taxes. We're already getting hit with 8% inflation, not the 4% that we've had in the past. And now we're going to have a 4.5% increase on this. So if there's something that really, really needs to be done and really makes sense, and we have to have a small increase, and we can do that incrementally this year, next year, and years to come, then I would be willing to consider that. But taking this big of a jump right now doesn't make sense to me. And when we talk about renaming schools, well, there's a cost to that. I didn't see that cost anywhere in the budget. So there's a cost containment right there if that's been included in some other number. And just for instance, I looked at a number, we've got professional and technical services, almost double, or 68% from last year to this year. Why such a big jump? Looking at supplies, 42% increase. What are we buying that costs that much more? So again, are we looking at ways that we can cost contain? Have we talked to our electricity suppliers and done power purchase agreements? Are we talking to our utility companies and doing long-term agreements on gas supply for our facilities? Are we looking at ways that we can make things beneficial to us as a community? So I'm here as a representative of the community asking that you not vote for this budget, that you go back to the table, that you look at ways that we may be able to cut out some of this. And if you do really come back and justify we do need to have an increase, I certainly would not expect it to be 4.5%, then that might be something to consider. That's all I have to say for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name's Lawrence Polino. I live in 224 Plum Street in Renton. I've been here since 1960. I graduated 50 years ago this coming June from Plum High, 1972. And I'm here about that, just what Eric said about this budget. Our legislature's passed this thing where you have to, 4.5% is the highest you can do without having to go to the people on a referendum. So they let you put this in here, and you can put it in any time you want without even having a referendum or even telling us why you need to have a 4.5% increase here. And I asked the Republican committee here to vote no on that. You had in your platform here just 7 months ago, I'm a District 19 also committeeman in the Republican Party. So their platform was student safety, hold the administration accountable, disciplined spending, honest and transparent leadership. And I asked the people here that we don't need a 4.5% increase in this budget right now. There's with everything, like Eric said, with the inflation, everything going up, it's $4.75 a gallon for gas. There's no reason for this. And I also want to say about how you're leaving people out here. These are elected, Megan and Ron. Ron had 3,800 votes. Megan had around 3,600 votes. And those are the people that they represent. And to leave them out of emails and not to communicate with them, Gateway School District did the same thing. And they got a hold of the bonding committee. You're all bonded here. And you're leaving people out, and that's illegal to leave people out of not representing all of us here. There's 19,860 registered voters in Plum, and these 4 Republican committee people got almost 12,000, over 12,000 of those votes, and they're being left out of these things here. And I think the bonding committee will be told about all this too, because we're not being represented here. And I'm a taxpayer here, I'm retired, but I'm still a property owner. And I just ask that this is not necessary to be able to just jump up the taxes 4.5% at any time you want to. And I thank you very much for hearing me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, would you mind signing your name on the list so I spell your name correctly? Thank you.
Hi guys. I'm Tom. Most of you know me already. I've at 9002 Oak Street in Renton. Kind of going to talk about taxes. They're going up. It's a fact of life, whether I want them to or not. Actually, I went to sleep last night knowing I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna scream at you guys. You're not gonna raise taxes because I'm gonna give you help. Then had conversations today and it's kind of pointless. What I did want to bring up was, I did notice something today. Most of you, I know for a fact one of you did, or a couple of you did, saw my post on Facebook about the get your voice heard, come out here. You know, one way or the other, just come up here and talk, even if you sound like a dipshit like me sometimes. While reading a lot of the comments on that, I noticed something. A lot of the people in this district don't know what's going on. They really don't. And that makes me wonder. A couple months ago, I was standing right here telling you guys stop fighting on Facebook. You know, and you guys course corrected, you stopped fighting on Facebook, but I think you kind of went a little bit too far. You went from not fighting with each other on Facebook to not talking. And a lot of the district got left out. A lot of them don't know that this is coming on. I mean, I've been looking at that stupid post while I've been sitting here and people are still arguing about it. There's got to be some kind of happy medium, you know, where let us know what's going on. I mean, some of us, I read everything on Facebook or I go to the app and I look stuff up all the time. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are going to be blindsided by this. Like this tax increase, I've known about it for months since the first time it was brought up at one of these meetings. A lot of this town doesn't. Find a way to get that information out there other than the app that we use. You know, get it out there on Facebook. Just don't fight with each other on Facebook. Do that stuff back here. You know, just figure out a way to do that. The other thing I wanted to bring up is with the taxes that you're going to raise today, is there anything in that budget for school safety? A couple months ago, we all know what happened in Monroeville. A guy walked into the school and did his weird stuff. And then everybody knows what happened today. This country spends billions of dollars every single month to protect our money. Banks are Fort Knox. Got to protect our money, got to protect our identity, protect our credit. We don't spend enough to protect our kids. Turn these buildings into a fort. I don't want anybody to be able to walk into these schools. I don't want to bury my daughter. You know, figure out a way to put that stuff in budgets, put up metal detectors, lock these doors, do something, hire more cops, get more police officers, do whatever's needed to make sure that our kids aren't mowed down at recess by some lunatic with nothing better to do with his life. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, with that, we're going to move on to the president's report, and that is me. So first and foremost, congratulations to the graduating class of 2022. Your efforts, tenacity, and ability to achieve during some of the most challenging times has been inspiring. We wish you and your families the best of luck. With that said, let's move on to a less fun topic, the annual budget process. So thrive or survive? This is the fundamental question and ultimately the determining factor in how we as school board members make decisions. This is especially the case as we govern and set the vision based on our financial strengths and our areas of needed improvement. As just one of 9 board members, I view an affirmation of the proposed budget tonight as a decision to thrive and strategically plan for the future of the district and our most valued customers, our students. Should the proposed budget pass tonight, we will thrive in these areas. Plans for re-implementation of full-day kindergarten and following the recommendations of the Kindergarten Task Force to purposefully plan and save become formalized and a step closer to reality. Our mental and behavioral health programs will not only remain intact, but also have the potential to be more robust via additional resources that we can plan and pay for next year and beyond. Our fund balance becomes healthier, the need to borrow less likely, and our fiscal ratings are stronger. The ability to continue to improve safety and security protocols and the necessary technology and equipment can be bolstered. When a new challenge arises, we will have the ability to respond swiftly and effectively, given our ability and our fund balances. Our academic and career training programs and curriculum will be fully implemented with no programmatic cuts expected now or in the future years. And finally, we can ensure that all of our 400-plus staff members remain employed, and the district can continue to provide the competitive pay and benefits outlined in our comprehensive collective bargaining agreements, resulting in a first-rate workforce. I look forward to working with all of you as we continue to thrive. And with that, I'll turn it over to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Caligiuri. I have some very good news to share with the community tonight. Actually, two sets of good news. The first is, and I'll just read this, the Plum Borough School District is pleased to announce the appointment of Dr. Heather Hibner as the new principal of Plum Senior High School. But there's more. Dr. Hibner will be ready for the start of the 22-23 school year and will begin her official duties on July 1st, 2022. Dr. Hibner is an experienced educator with 18 years of service to children in public education. She began her teaching career after earning academic distinction from Bethany College with a degree in English education. She taught both English and entertainment technology courses and also served as a gifted teacher. She previously taught in the South Allegheny and Elizabeth Forward school districts. Following a very successful teaching career, Dr. Hibner moved into administration after earning her master's in education in leadership and administration from California University of Pennsylvania in 2013 and her doctorate in leadership and education from Point Park University in 2020. She began her administrative career in the Baldwin-Whitehall School District, where she was the high school assistant principal for 3 years. She then was asked to come back to Elizabeth Forward High School to take on a leadership role as an assistant principal. She has held that title for the last 6 years. During her time as an administrator, she was instrumental in curricular and instructional redesign initiatives that led to educational improvements within the districts she served. She was also a leader in the development of student support service initiatives that focused on mental health and the overall well-being of the whole student. Dr. Hibner looks forward to joining the district that puts students at the center of their decision-making process. She stated, "The interview process that I went through to join the Plum team was extremely rigorous, but it was also very rewarding. There was a tremendous focus on what good teaching and learning looks like and how we can take the Plum Senior High School to the next level while also making it a welcoming environment for all students. I very much look forward to meeting the students, my new colleagues, and the families of this community." Dr. Hibner, welcome to the Plum Borough School District. We also have an additional replacement of a position, and that is Mr. Scott Lazaro. He may look very familiar to a lot of people. The Plum Borough School Board is pleased to announce the appointment of Mr. Scott Lazaro as the new assistant principal at O Block Junior High School. Mr. Lazaro earned his Bachelor's of Science, Master's in Arts of Teaching, and his principal credentials from the University of Pittsburgh. Way to go, Scott. Mr. Lazaro has been a Plum Borough School District employee since 2012 as a biology teacher and as the science department leader for the district. Most recently, he took on the role of lead teacher / interim assistant principal at Plum Senior High School, where he helped lead the science department through a curriculum review process that yielded curricular resources that will help our students maximize their potential in science. Mr. Lazaro is excited to begin working with the students, parents, and staff at O Block Junior High School, and he stated, "I'm beyond thrilled to be officially joining the administrative team in our district. I have observed the many changes that have occurred in our district over the past few years, and I'm excited to help lead O Block Junior High School with Dr. Boyers to focus on best practices for teaching and learning, and by doing so, exceptionally preparing our students for success. I look forward to working with the faculty and staff, our families, and most importantly, the students at O Block Junior High School."
Congratulations.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Student Representatives Report, Ms. Malcolm.
All right, so some activity updates. Prom took place on Friday, May 13th at the Omni William Penn. Both Tommy Zumo and Ashley Harchick were voted prom king and queen that night. Members of the senior class were honored this month at both the Academic Honors Banquet and Senior Awards Night. Chorus, jazz, and orchestra concerts took place this month as well. The JROTC award ceremony was held last Friday, and many members were awarded for their service in and out of the classroom. The Special Olympics took place last Thursday, where students involved in Partners in PE and Best Buddies helped out and participated in the events. And then this is just a final note, seeing as this is my last meeting, I would like to thank the board. I'm grateful for this opportunity to represent the voices of my peers who are not always heard, and to paint the life of Plum students in the best colors possible. To Lauren, who is going to be voted in today, I wish you luck on holding this position as well, and hope it continues to be of value to both the board and Lauren herself. Thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you all hopefully tomorrow for graduation.
On behalf of the board.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm so excited to take my name.
Haley, on behalf of the board and the administrative team and everyone that is so proud about working in this district and being part of this district, you have done nothing but set the bar even higher for the next person that has come in. You have been a tremendous asset. You have been a tremendous leader. We wish you the absolute best of luck, and always know if you ever want to be bored, you can come back and sit in the meeting anytime you want.
You guys just have to get a snack bar.
In all seriousness, we could not have asked for a better school board representative, so thank you for everything that you do, and we'd really like you to open up that, because I think you're going to be using it pretty soon.
Oh gosh, we got there.
No, you can go a little deeper in the bag. I think that's the one I was talking about.
Oh, fancy little plum thing. Oh, this is like Christmas morning. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, this is a cute little sweater.
Show everybody. If you don't know, Haley's heading off to Bucknell. And I'm sure the rest of the board members have some nice things to say as well.
Haley, thank you for your full year of service. All of us are proud of you, as you can imagine, and we've recognized your great talents. We hope that you will come back and spend some time with our students and with the rest of us. We learned a lot from you, so congratulations and best of luck.
I just want to say what I appreciate is the confidence that you brought to the position. You were never afraid to share your opinions with us, and they were very valuable and thoughtful. And I thought that was really awesome. Anytime you spoke, I appreciated it.
Good. I'm not crying yet. I'll see it for tomorrow.
Or tonight when This Is Us is on.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get it all in my system.
She said she was out of tears, but we were trying to trigger some. Okay, so we will move on. Ms. Price, are you ready? So for student school board representative, on behalf of the board, I'll make the motion to recommend approval of Ms. Lauren Price to serve as the 2022-2023 school board student representative to begin in August 2022. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes. Ms. Price. We need to get a chair.
Can we get a chair?
Oh, are you bringing her over?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, last year he asked me, and I said, no, you gotta wait until August.
You're still officially on duty.
Hey, wait, I still have.
You're still on
Now we got two.
It's training.
Yeah.
This is the training here.
That's right, peer-to-peer mentorship's where it's at.
Welcome aboard, Lauren.
Welcome
Yeah, welcome
aboard.
aboard.
All right, we're going to move on to the rest of the agenda. So we have personnel with Mr. Divinely, Board Liaison. Recommend approval to accept and resolve the following 1 through 9 as listed below.
On behalf of the board, I'll make that recommendation.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. We have one opposed. Any abstentions? Motion passes. Mr. Devine, do you have a report for us this evening?
I do. So first, Haley, congratulations to you and the rest of the class of 2022. It has been an honor to serve with you over the past year, and good luck to you and all of the seniors in whatever the next chapter in your life may be. I'm excited to, I'll say re-announce because it was already said twice, I think, the hiring of Dr. Heather Hibner as our new Plum Senior High School principal. She will be transitioning over the next few weeks and will be ready to go for the start of the next school year. Dr. Hibner, congratulations. You have big shoes to fill, but we are excited to have you and what you bring to the Plum Borough School District. So welcome. Also, Mr. Scott Lazaro has been named the new assistant principal at the junior high school. Mr. Lazaro, congratulations, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
As the school year wraps up, I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of our staff across the district for getting through another very difficult year. You have exceeded our expectations and truly stepped up, putting our students first. We have secured over a dozen building substitutes for the 22-23 school year, many of which have been in our buildings the past several years. They have stepped in anywhere and everywhere, and they have been needed, traveling between buildings with little to no notice. We're excited to have you all back for next year. We are excited to announce that some of our paraprofessionals who are also certified teachers will be joining our building substitutes for next year. This has been made possible by the changes in the school code under Act 91. And I just realized I said we are excited like 6 times, so I apologize. We continue to look for paraprofessionals and bus drivers to join our district, so if you do know of anyone looking, please send them our way. And that is all I have for this month.
Thank you, Mr. Devine. Move on to student achievement and activities. Dr. Anderson, Lead Board Liaison. Recommend approval to accept and resolve the following items 1 through 7 as listed below.
On behalf of the board, I'll make that recommendation. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Report tonight, Dr. Anderson?
Yeah.
Wait.
Can we segment that?
It's the same as a consent. If you have no, you identify the number.
Yeah, if you are a no for one of the items, you may,
Okay.
as long as you tell us exactly which one it is.
All right, no on 7, A through C.
There's a nay on number 7, A and C.
I'm also a nay on 7, A through C.
A through C. I'm sorry, Mr. Adams, is it A through C or A and C?
Through.
A through C, sorry, thank you.
All good.
Yes, and I'm a nay on those 3 as well.
Okay. Anyone else?
And I'm a nay on A through C.
Okay. Anyone else? Number 7, motion passes. Thank you. Report, Dr. Anderson.
Yeah, I would be remiss, although it'll be multiple times, not to welcome Dr. Hibner and Mr. Lazaro. And I would say, not sadly, but maybe sadly for you, you'll have my kids all 3 will be in, 2 in the high school and 1 in the junior high, and I look forward to them having that experience with each of you and with Dr. Boyers. I would also add, as Mr. Devine said, just true thank you to our staff and to our teachers and administration for an awesome year, and being able to get us back to somewhat a bit of normalcy. I think also to add on number 7 that it will be, you know, to some people's comments and concerns, it will be a budget zero, so it is not something that will have an additional expense that will be included in next year's budget. In the athletic side, I will say, you know, one of our other recent hires has been Mr. Miller, our athletic director. And if you've been up here in the past couple weeks, you've probably seen lots of baseball playoff games that sadly weren't always our team that was playing, but lots of baseball playoff games that have happened here. He's done an awesome job bringing in other schools and being able to utilize our fields, which I have heard. I have a kid who plays baseball. I've heard lots of comments from other people from other schools about our facilities, which is awesome to hear. I'd also say that we had each of our teams that have finished their seasons, great successful seasons in baseball, softball, boys volleyball, track and field, and girls lacrosse, each making playoffs themselves. Notable that girls lacrosse won their first ever playoff game in school history. The other piece of note, and for families of athletic families who are listening, our new athletic website will be launching in June, and it should help parents from a live stream perspective and from navigating and understanding how to get your kids active and involved in athletics and do some of the pieces and parts that you have to do as a parent. You'll be able to sign up for alerts and for news as well. And that's all.
Thank you.
Yep.
Let's see, Safe and Supportive Schools, Mr. Adams, do you have a report for us tonight?
I have a report, yes. Good evening. First off, thank you, Haley, and welcome to our new senior staff. So going into the report, our security officer and Officer Flem are enrolled in the basic SRO training at Fox Chapel High School in early June. Officer Flem and Officer Locke are enrolled in the advanced SRO training the following week there as well. This will complete the all training required in X67. All other officers have completed this training previously. Next up, all emergency operating procedures were reviewed and updated for the 2022-2023 school year. All changes will be reflected in the electronic and printed versions distributed to our staff. Next, new individual room number signs have been ordered for the area behind the home bleachers. These signs will assist teachers whose classrooms evacuate to the area. The signs will designate the exact area where they will need to take their students, and in order to abide by the new fire drill guidelines requiring them to be at least 50 feet from the building. Signs will be mounted along the fence directly behind the bleachers. Next up, school police officers completed their annual mandatory firearms quals on May 17th, 2022 at the Renton Gun Club, and I think I'll probably have popular support here in saying that just with everything going on today, it's certainly a plus to have very qualified and capable people protecting our schools here. So just keep that in mind. And finally, all school police officers completed their mandatory defensive tactics training. It's called Mandatory In-Service Training, known as MIST, on May 21st, 2022. This was their first joint training exercise with the Plum Police Department, the Borough Police Department. And turn it over to Dr. Walsh. I think you had something.
Thanks, Mr. Adams. I would concur what you said in regards to we have a very capable police department. We have school police in all of our buildings and 2 at the high school. I had an opportunity last week to observe the firearms qualification, and honestly, I was genuinely impressed with the capability, the agility, the professionalism of the school police that we have stationed throughout our district. Looking at their credentials and their backgrounds, our officers come from the state police, leadership in McKeesport Police Department in New Kensington, in the city of Pittsburgh Police Department. We have a very capable police force, and the firearms training was eye-opening in regards to their professionalism and their precision in regards to performing the tasks at hand. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adams. Before we move on, Dr. Anderson, I believe you have something to add.
Yeah, I forgot. I apologize. one, to thank Haley for all of her service, but two, Dr. Walsh, in the past couple years, we have done, I think, something that is awesome, and I would like for him to talk a little bit about the kinder camp piece of it, but in really trying to plan for transitions for our students as they move from building to building, and I find that incredibly invaluable, to be proactive so that we're helping alleviate some of the anxieties for students as they move into new places and navigate new buildings. And if we do that in the spring, before they do that come the next fall, hopefully it alleviates some of that. And one that's very exciting is kinder camp, and he will do it much more justice than I will.
I hope so. Dr. Anderson, I believe one of the first conversations we had when I came into the district was how can we make the transitions K-12 easier for our students. We have two significant transitions tomorrow. One is our graduating seniors. The other is our incoming class of 2035. 2035, I know.
You're not allowed.
We have approximately 150 students that are registered, and over the course of the next few days, I will be visiting Center Elementary and Pivot Elementary. The students will have opportunities to go into the classrooms, to engage with our teachers, our intervention teachers, meet the principal, our school counselors, and get a sense of what our schools are. That alone will ease a lot of anxiety. Second, as this is occurring, it also gives our parents an opportunity to get a jump start in regards to questions and concerns they may have with entering kindergarten. So as the students are in class, our parents will be meeting with the principals and also our PTO officers and other school officials. So it's very exciting. This is our first attempt at kinder camp. Mr. Gautner, Mrs. Fight, the school counselors, and especially our kindergarten teachers and our pupil services department have put a lot of work in this over the last year and a half in order to make this a special event for our students and ease those transitions for students that are coming in. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, Dr. Walsh. All right, we'll move on to budget and finance. Ms. Chudowitz, lead board liaison. Recommend approval to accept and resolve the items.
Oh, I have a report.
Yeah, it'll come after.
Okay.
Recommend approval to accept and resolve the items 1 through 3 as listed below.
I'm a no to 2A.
You have to second, you have to make the motion.
Yeah, make the motion on behalf of the board.
Oh, I make a motion on behalf of the board to recommend the approval and accept and resolve the items as listed below. Budgetary items A through C, 2A, and 3.
Second. I have a motion and a second.
Mr. Caligiuri, before we vote, I have a couple questions and comments.
Yeah, we'll allow that.
So, as everybody's aware, we're voting on a tax increase tonight, the new budget, and through personal conversations, individual conversations with board members, Mr. Feeney, I do still read Facebook. I've seen comments from board members. I'm under the impression we have at least 3, if not 4, people voting against this tonight. And I've heard nothing over 3 budget workshops and a discussion meeting earlier this month with a resolution that would fix this deficit, what cuts you plan to make, or anything else. Ms. Chudowitz, Mr. Sokolsky, Mr. Adams, 3 of you stand out. Ms. Stepnick did say why she's not going to vote for this, but if you had a chance to look at the request for information today, this was posted out there for everybody to review. The 25th percentile of Plum, their monthly increase in taxes will be $3. The 50th percentile for houses in Plum would be a $5 increase, and the 75th percentile would be an $8 increase. The majority of Plum is going to be under a $10 per month increase. I'm not going to be the whipping boy for this district because I'm doing the responsible thing. We went 10 years without a tax increase up until a few years ago. Had 3 small increases been made over those 10 years, we'd be paying less in taxes today than we are right now. So I'm just curious to hear what your proposal to cut is where we're going to make up $1.4 million. You have my attention right now to change my vote.
Mr. Devine, I'd like to add that during that period of time where we went, it was 12 years without a tax increase, we wiped out our fund budget, ended up almost $5 million deficit. We're forced to close Regency Elementary School, furlough over 20 teachers, and cut additional programming in order to balance our budget. I, for one, feel like this district has moved forward in huge strides. And I don't like a tax increase any more than anybody else. I have to pay it too. That being said, a lot of people addressed making cuts. The problem is when you're looking at school finance, it's very different than anything else you'll find out there in the financial world. And there are certain things that we are tied to that the government mandates that we can't cut, even though it may look like something we can cut on the surface. And so our costs go up, and until we come up with a better way of covering school district, public school, taxes are the only way to cover those increases and maintain the level of academic success that we see our students have and want to continue in the future. So I don't want to see us go backwards, and I don't want to see us put ourselves in jeopardy. We have a plan on the table. The recommendation for full-day kindergarten requires a 4.5% increase this year. You don't have to vote to increase, and you can still say you support kindergarten, but it will require more tax increases over a shorter period of time and to a greater percentage than what was proposed. And I would just remind my colleagues of that.
I don't even add, we
I'd
are,
like to make a comment. One, I don't need school budget and finance for school districts. This is not my first go around and my first time voting for a tax increase. Two, there was, and I specifically asked last meeting, how much of this budget was going toward full-day kindergarten, and it was nothing. So now that we're tying full-day kindergarten to the tax increase, I find it semi-logical. With that said, I do know that the tax increase is necessary, and I know the community does not want to hear that. I also strongly feel, and I have said this on record in my past term on the board, and I'll say it on record again, we did nothing to try to find a cost savings anywhere in the budget. I'm going to vote for it. I don't like it, and I'm, quite frankly, disappointed that nobody could say, here's what we saved. Whatever that little bit, you're not going to save a ton, and I understand that. But what are we trying to figure out to save? Instead, we did large administrative contracts, and we keep buying all kinds of stuff. Tonight, you guys just spent God knows what the real number will be to change the names of the schools, that it's ridiculous and frivolous. So when you're asking people to pay more, my expectation of myself is to find a way to save somewhere. Doesn't mean you cut something. It means you find a way to do cost savings. And I know I'm in charge of raising the funds, and I'm working on that, but you know what? That doesn't, again, that's one-time fixes for things. Much of this budget is annually, you have to show a revenue source for much of this budget. And while it's great to say, you know, we can bring people to the table to do a cost savings and ask them to take pay freezes, we have had administration, and I commend them in the past that did take pay freezes. We have had staff in the past that have taken freezes. We have staff in current contracts right now that are going on multiple years of pay freezes, not 1, 2, or 3, multiple, because of where they fell in their step process. So, again, I don't appreciate being school. I know the budget process full well, and I also know that I personally voted twice to raise taxes when all of that time frame, everybody said, what number of years? Yes, we did. And politics came into it. And unfortunately, it's coming into it again, and it shouldn't, because you're there to educate the kids.
Mrs. Stepnick, I would just point out, you made a comment that we have administration here on exuberant contracts, and we actually had a discussion previously. We fall about median range
of what we pay our administrators when compared to other districts in the AIU. So that is a false statement, and I don't appreciate it being misleading for the public. We're not being irresponsible with our money. We have gotten far more than our value out of what our contracts are.
Just to be clear, I'm gonna give everybody an opportunity to make a comment before your vote, but we're not gonna rehash discussion. We'll let Ms. Devon finish. All right, yeah, everybody will have an opportunity to comment before casting their vote, but we have had an opportunity for very robust, extensive discussions over the last several months. So if anybody else has a comment, I welcome it to everyone, every member.
Just speaking on behalf of facilities, we are on top of everything that everybody said. We also neglected our facilities for a long period of time. It was 25 million or something like that we had to catch up to pay. Now we have caught up, but now we have 2 buildings that are in need of renovations. And that's what we're doing a feasibility study on now, to examine those facilities and also examine the space that needs to go in those in the event that full-day kindergarten comes back. To say that the full-day kindergarten is not in this plan. It is in this plan. It's in the feasibility study that we're doing right now. So,
Thank you. Any other comments from school board members who did not have a chance to comment?
I will add, the one thing it is concerning to me is over the last few weeks, the biggest conversation that I've personally had was what can I do to change my vote on the naming of the school. So the naming of the school came precedent over all these other initiatives that have been posed today. Now, while I realize the figure for the name change is approximately, I've been reported anywhere from 10 to 30,000, is a small percentage of the overall budget. That money could be spent on true initiatives that would have a better yield on a student's outcome, such as mental health initiatives that would help our school counselors and staff lessen their load. And I will also add that I think it's been discussed in previous workshops on a bipartisan from my Democrat and Republican colleagues that when they surveyed the community, that an overwhelming majority of our stakeholders would support small increases over large ones every 4 years.
How much smaller than $3 can we get?
And with the $3, Mr. Devine, I saw a person at Get-Go today going ballistic because they couldn't afford gas because all they had was $2 in their checking account. So why $3 may not be a lot to you and I, it was a lot to that gentleman.
Gecko's not in Plum, and we had very little or no decrease in income tax.
All right, let's limit debate. Anybody else who has not had a chance to comment that would like to comment before they make a vote?
Can we clear something up? That we did not spend a lot of exuberant amount of time on the name change? That's very misleading to the public because we spent less than 5 minutes on that.
Sure, I mean, you can go around and ask everybody, but yeah, there's very little time spent. Anybody else have a comment that did not have a chance to comment before they make a vote?
Can it be further discussed as to how the kindergarten is involved in this budget? Since all that keeps coming up is it, we're going to do something with it, but there's no money, there's no allocations.
I think that's best answered by Mr. Manzer.
That's fine.
And Mr. Manzer, when you do that, because I think Mrs. Stepnick was concerned we said something from executive session, can you also address from our administrative salaries where we fall from an AIU perspective within that?
Sure. I'm sorry, thank you, because that was just discussed in executive session, so I would assume.
It's also public record.
In regards to the kindergarten scenario that we had discussed in the budget workshop, we really presented 3 scenarios in that budget workshop. 2 of the scenarios had the same exact step in year 1. The administrative recommendation and also the kindergarten scenario. The kindergarten scenario involved tax increases, maybe not to 4.5%, but to that amount, a significant tax increase every single year for all 5 years of that plan. And I think it was really critical that I stated that the first 4 years of that plan would need the tax increases to be able to say that we could implement kindergarten in year 5. So we need to execute that plan over those 4 years. This next year is step 1 in that plan. The administrative recommendation and the kindergarten scenario is exactly the same for next year. That involves this 4.5% tax increase. And really, when you think about it, that fully pays for the things that we currently have in place. There's also an item that we have to be aware of in 2 years' time, is that the federal funding that we are currently receiving that is supporting our social workers and our intervention teachers is going to expire, and there's not a plan for that to renew. So part of the administrative recommended scenario was that in 2 years, we're going to have to really anticipate that increase. That is also layered into that kindergarten plan. The kindergarten plan really just requires that you're going to have to take that next step next year, the year after, and the year after, and then you're going to be able to smooth into those low increases. In regards to the other question that was posed, we did look at administrative salaries, and it's actually specifically designed, and this is public content. The Act 93 agreement is posted to our website. That agreement was designed with AIU averages in mind, and that study was performed at that time. And then also currently looking at our data, and that data is probably inconsistent amongst districts. You have to look at it at a very detailed level. But that high level overview, it showed that our administrative salaries are right around average, or probably about $1,000 above the average from the high level data that we reviewed. And we do specifically look at those comparatives in the IU for each position as well at a pretty low level to make sure that those salaries are on par.
Thank you.
Can I add something here?
Yes.
This district has a history of kicking the can down the road. And that kicking of the can led to, there are a few major levers that you pull when you want to have a significant budget, decrease in budget. Almost always, every school budget, at least 70% of it is people and benefits. That's what it is. In most places, it's 80% and higher. When we went through the budget workshop, we had a $1.4 million deficit that we had to make up. As the person responsible for presenting this budget to you, it would have been nice to have received at least one recommendation about what we could have done to make up that $1.4 million deficit. That being said, this district has kicked the can down the road multiple times and led to the furlough of 26 teachers, the cutting of kindergarten to half day. Fortunately, we were able not to cut any programs at that time, but prior to that, they had cut programs. And it was extremely painful. And there were budget scenarios that were presented that were middle of the small increases along the way. Well, the pandemic happened, and it became very, very difficult to ask people that were going through a pandemic to be able to make those sacrifices. And this board and the board previously made the choice not to put that burden on people. But just like every other business that's out there, we have bills to pay too, and those bills are increasing. But the most important thing that I believe our charge is, or mine is as superintendent, is to provide the best education possible for these kids. Because over the previous 10 years, a lot of the adults didn't make very good decisions, and we had to make a lot of cuts. And now it became time that we had to pay the piper, and we did. And we finally got ourselves to a point where we're right-sized. We're right where we need to be. We have a fund balance that is increasing, and it's going to make it easier when we want to do big projects in this district. It's going to make it easier to borrow money more at a cheaper rate. If we continue not to fund our schools, that money becomes more expensive. If anybody wants full-day kindergarten and votes against, if you want full-day kindergarten and you vote against this budget, you basically are saying you are not interested in full-day kindergarten, because it will not happen. It will not happen. So, you know, I get somewhat irritated when we say we're not gonna raise taxes. What's the plan? What's the alternative to not raising the taxes? I truly respect and understand people's philosophical beliefs. On my end, my goal, my job is to do the very best job I can for these kids and provide the absolute best education I can for these kids. That is my goal, that is my charge, that is what I will do. For those people who think that we're not interested in making cuts, I was on the other end of going to talk to every single one of those teachers that had to be furloughed. One of the most difficult conversations I've ever had in my life. So we're not afraid to make cuts. This idea that this name change is going to cost a lot of money, no one's bringing up the fact that we went out and got $60,000 in alternative revenue to pay for this. It's not going to cost the district a dime. And anything else is a red herring. So I speak passionately about this because I believe our kids deserve the best. We all talk about we want to have the best school district around. We're working towards that. We're getting there. It's not cheap to do that. You have to have the right people in the right place at the right time. And you got to provide the resources that are necessary. No one talked about tonight that we provided millions of dollars of new curriculum because there were very tough choices that were made along the way, that we now have the ability to provide curriculum for students that they hadn't provided new curriculum for 10 years. In science, in math, in ELA. There was no new curriculum for these kids. Where were the people coming to the mic at that point? Nobody was. So now we're there. And now we have to make some tough decisions. And now we're going to be able to hopefully get ourselves in a spot. If this board wants full-day kindergarten, you're going to have 4 years in a row of tax increases, bottom line. And if you don't want it, then, vote against it. But please don't use kindergarten as the reason why you're voting no against this, because it would not necessarily, it would be somewhat disingenuous.
Anybody else who did not have a chance to comment that would like to comment?
Yeah, just real quick. I'm not necessarily opposed to incremental tax increases. I know they might not have been done in years past. I wasn't on the board in years past. I might have supported something below the cap. So just want to make that clear. 4.5% in a stagflation trending economy is not something I can support for our community, though. So that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Ms. Chavez, could I make an additional comment that Mrs. Knocker, if we could put it on the, in the minutes? I'm going to vote for A3. But I think it's important that we send a message to PSBA that they stay out of politics. If they're there to be an agency to help guide us, then that's where they need to stay. Not getting into the national or state political fights that they get into. And that's the only way I will vote for this, that we send a message to them that they need to continue staying in their own quote-unquote own lane. And they don't need to be entering into national fights nor state fights that are at the political level.
Dr. Anderson?
Or frankly, anything the services in which they provide to the school districts.
Comment noted. Dr. Anderson, you had a comment.
Dr. Highland, I appreciate the things that you said. You probably said them better than I would have, but I would have echoed many of them because I think I was there for the difficult votes. We had a citizen bring up fiscal responsibility and running on a platform as a Republican. I will say that there has not been a single vote in my tenure in this position that I have done because of my political affiliation. And that if I would do that, it is a disservice to every single student in our district. But I've been incredibly fiscally responsible and have done that by furloughing 26 teachers. And, you had to tell them, I had to watch them cry sitting in front of us whenever we had to do it. But we right-sized a district. We put it on an awesome path right now. And 4.5% sucks. There is no other word for it. We were not looking for an inflation to happen, but we waited 2 years during a pandemic. I would have loved for it to have been 2% each year during that time. But if we would have sat here and said, in the middle of this pandemic, we're going to raise taxes, we would have had people here screaming at us, lining up saying, how dare you raise taxes in the middle of a pandemic? There is never a good time to raise taxes. But the fact of the matter is, we have to foundationally do it if you want to have full-day kindergarten. And I will happily say, I am not certain I am in favor of raising taxes 4 times for full-day kindergarten. I am in favor of operationally keeping ourselves where we need to be so that we can borrow money at a cheaper rate, so that our feasibility study might show us that we have to do things and we can do it in a responsible fashion. It is fine if you vote no to this, but I will say, number one, politics should never be a part of this. Number two, this budget process took 6 months. I would say to the public, anybody watching it, guess what? Show up during those 6 months. If you have cuts, if you have things that you want to see happen, show up during that time. Don't ring my phone off the hook 24 hours before I'm going to be making a vote because now you think it's important. The budget process takes a long time. And I just think our community needs to, if you're worried about it, be a part of it and come to the microphone. But we're sitting and doing it for 6 months. And I would say, I didn't give you a budget cut because I couldn't find a single thing that we could cut that we did not need to support this year. Now, if we talk about it as we move forward, I might be the one who everybody hates because I'd say, I don't see full-day kindergarten as worth another tax increase. And we might be in an inflation next year. But I think we have to be fiscally responsible. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think it irritates me to be told that I'm not fiscally responsible, to be told that I need to make a political decision. I'm not making a political decision. I've been here and doing this year over year because I do it for kids to make decisions that are in the best interest of our students. And we have made some darn good decisions in the last 4 years.
And I'll say that in the audience, you through this whole journey that you have made the right decisions and have put the district where it is today. So I actually want to thank you for the work that you've done. I know the decisions you made in the past were not easy as the ones that you make in the future, but you always make the right decisions.
The bottom line of this all is this is the fiscally responsible thing to do. And the no votes know this is going to pass, and it's the chicken's way out to let the burden fall on those of us to do the right thing.
Any other comments?
The only thing that I would add is to make sure everybody in the audience and there's minutes on how to apply for that homestead exemption for your primary residence to offset the tax increase. And you can go to AlleghenyCounty.us/real estate Act 50. That's all.
Thank you.
Can we get a layman's term
with
again
that-
that provides one?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
A layman's term of the homestead tax, so people understand what that is and
Mr.
what that
Yes,
benefit
Mr.
does.
Manager, could you put something on the website for our citizens so that they can become more informed? with the
Absolutely, we'll put the homestead information, and we can also put the senior citizen tax rebate through the state as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, with that. So we have budget and finance. We have a motion and a second to resolve the items 1 through 3. And I believe our motion is Ms. Chudowitz, our second is from Mr. Hill. Is that correct, Ms. Malka?
Correct.
I believe that's what we have. So we have a motion and a second. So I'm going to ask for all in favors, and then for opposed, if you're singling out an item, just say I'm opposed and to what item. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed to A.
A 1 through 3.
Just 3, or just 2?
Just 2.
2A.
Just 2.
2A. Okay.
A2.
A2A.
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 A2A, there you go. Anyone else?
And no to A2A.
No to A2A.
No to A2A.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so motions for 1A, B,
With
and C.
abstentions.
I'm sorry, abstentions.
I abstain to the line item in the treasurer's report that involves my father's paycheck.
That's right.
Mike, can I ask a question? When we do it that way and we show the no's for that, do we also, will that, although I know we didn't roll call, will that show the yeses in favor? Okay. I just want to make sure that's on record. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to be clear, motion passes for letter A, item 1. Motion passes for letter A, item 2, 6 to 3. Motion passes A, number 3, 9-0. So 1 and 3 are 9-0, except for where Mr. Devine has to single himself on a line item. Okay. Thank you.
Report.
All right, facilities and operations, Mr. Hill, lead board liaison. Oh, I'm sorry, you have a report. I apologize. We've been going at budget so hard.
My report was pretty much all covered, so I think everybody kind of went through everything I was gonna say, so.
You sure?
I think it was covered, yes, I wanted to make sure everybody knew about the rebates that were available. And I know I said my piece about, wasteful, what I consider personally is wasteful, spending. And I want to echo, Dr. Hildner and Mr. Lazaro, the first things that you both said were students first, and I just hope that all of us can really look at the decisions that we're making and really evaluate them and make sure that the students' needs are before anything else. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, facilities and operations, Mr. Hill, lead board liaison, recommend approval to accept and resolve the high school library carpeting proposal.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Do you have?
Mr. Caligari, can I add something to that real quick?
Yes.
I know, it's, Mr. Walsh, are you online?
Yes, I am.
If you noticed, there was the original estimate. This is an example of cost savings. There was an original estimate that was north of $55,000. If you look at the estimate, that is significantly less because Mr. Walsh went out. Worked towards goal 3, which is maximizing fiscal responsibility, and found the carpet for significantly cheaper than what was at the discussion meeting. So, Mr. Walsh, anything you want to add to that?
No, and just, that's what we do in our department. We always look at ways to lower the expenses.
Keep it up.
And I'll channel my inner Scott Coulson. This carpet is kind of a safety concern. I mean, there's, it needs replaced. This is something that is well needed.
All right, and do you have a report for us tonight?
No.
Thank you. Eastern area schools, Ms. Wetmore, do you have a report for us tonight?
I do not. We meet on Thursday, but I did want to say to Dr. Anderson's point about the transitioning, I saw where the seniors have the opportunity to go back to their elementary schools, and I think that is totally awesome to let those kids see what it looks like to be a senior and to make it through. So just wanted to add that.
I bet Haley would add it was sad, though, to see their elementary school teachers.
And everything's smaller.
Although it was cool for the little kids, it was sad for the big kids.
All the little kids sat out in the hallway and were like clapping and cheering, and then they're like, "Good luck on your life," and I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Thanks." And I was like, "Oh," I saw like my kindergarten teacher who I thought retired, and I was like, "Oh." So, yeah, I cried then too, so that's why I'm fine right now.
All right, Forbes Road CTC, Mr. Hill, lead board liaison, recommend approval to accept and resolve 2022-2023 Forbes Road CTC operating and administrative budget.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Report for us, Mr. Hill.
I had the privilege to attend their certificate ceremony. It was an absolutely awesome event just to see all the highly qualified students that are graduating from Forbes. And I encourage those that are in need of employment, because I know there's a lot of people looking for employees. Look at Forbes. They do internships, and they are really qualified from anything from culinary to diesel to automotive to vet tech. I mean, it covers the gamut, and we really should use those resources that we have there. And I think, it'll make you feel good by helping them learn their career further, give them that experience that they need to go out into the real world and become successful.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Intergovernmental, Mr. Devine, lead board liaison.
No report tonight. Our quarterly meeting, which should be in July, we're going to move up to next month since we are off in July. So I'll probably have one next month for you.
Thank you. Legislative, Mr. Sokolsky, do you have a report for us tonight?
Yes, I do. School nurses are at a low, and Pennsylvania is considering lowering the student to nurse ratio to help school nurses out. The U.S. Department of Education plans to issue its proposed Title IX regulation governing how colleges and K through 12 schools should investigate and punish sexual violence in May. As noted last month, House Bill 1330 is continuing to fly through the legislature with bipartisan support to create a catalog of courses throughout the state for students from any locality to be able to access courses taught outside their district. May is National Mental Health Awareness Month. The theme is Together for Mental Health and encourages working together for the betterment of everyone. Based on the NIL, which is the Name, Image, Likeness Supreme Court decision, amateurs in college can begin promoting themselves. This is now trickling down to high school students, and some states, Pennsylvania included, are considering looking at the Supreme Court decision. New STEM standards were approved to update the standards last done in 2002. Instead of memorizing facts, students will become more productively involved in solving problems. And as Dr. Hyland noted this afternoon in an email, House Bill 2169 is heading to the State Senate for approval. 2669 will allow vouchers to be used to pull public school funding, and this could impact us immensely and needs to be stopped. So if you can, please contact your state representatives and put a halt to it. That's 2169. That's it.
Thank you. Policy, Mr. Caligiuri, lead board liaison. Recommend approval to accept and resolve the annual reappointment of Mr. Ryan Manzer as treasurer per policy 005. On behalf of the board, I will make that recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Sucker.
Motion passes. I do not have a report for tonight. Equity and inclusion, Ms. Wetmore, lead board liaison. Any report tonight?
I have a brief report. I wanted to acknowledge the amazing work of Ms. Dessel and the entire special education team at the high school, as well as our athletic director, Mr. Miller, for putting together an incredible event on Thursday, May 19th. I was only able to come for the final part of the day, but it was obvious to me that everyone enjoyed the Special Olympic competitions. My conversations with staff, administration, and volunteers reflected how much. I appreciate all of the board members and the administration who showed up to lend their support, the community and parent volunteers, the high school students who volunteered to assist, and of course the athletes who I watched interact across districts with enthusiasm and excitement. I will say my personal favorite moment, and one that seemed to be a real crowd pleaser, was the mascot race. And if I'm not mistaken, all of the mascots were our students, correct? So we came out winners no matter what. But it was the Penn Hills mascot that won. I look forward to next year, and I implore Ms. Dessel and her team to reach out to us for whatever they need. It was amazing. Finally, I'd like to congratulate our senior class as they prepare for their big day. A special nod to Ms. Haley Drapcho. Thank you for your valuable contributions throughout this year as our student voice, and best of luck on your next endeavors. In closing, I share a quote whose author I could not find, or I would name. You're on no one's journey but your own. Pace yourself and live your life the way you want to. Don't let someone else's idea of success make you feel like you've chosen the wrong path. Your journey may look different to everyone else's, but it's yours. Good luck, guys.
Thank you. Community engagement, outreach, and development. Ms. Stepnick, lead board liaison. Do you have a report for us tonight? I don't know if she's on. All right, Ms. Stepnick has
No
left.
report.
All right, next up is citizens' comments on non-agenda items.
If anybody would like to make comment, please step forward, state your name and address. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. I'll give you a 30-second warning when your time is coming to a close. Just a reminder, this is a time for sharing comments and suggestions rather than a question and answer session. Whenever you're finished, please just step over and place your name on the clipboard so that I spell it correctly for the minutes. You may start whenever you are ready.
Hello, my name is Francesca North. I live at 9220 Douglas Fir Drive. I'm currently ending my junior year here at Plum Senior High School. I fully began my Spanish career and took Spanish 1 in 8th grade, a year before it's typically taken. Throughout my Spanish career, I've learned more than I can stand up here and name. Throughout each day I've walked into Spanish, I've had the brightest smile on my face. Generally, I'm a shy kid, which is why it's taking a lot for me to stand up here right now. These teachers have been able to make me come out of my shell and make me feel comfortable and confident, especially during my sophomore year. While I was primarily home on flex, I still felt engaged in Spanish 3 in the class and ready to participate. When scheduling for senior year, the first class on my list was AP Spanish 5. Everything went well and my schedule was finalized, until 2 weeks ago when a fellow classmate informed me AP Spanish would not be occurring in person. I was taken aback a bit as the AP Spanish teacher didn't know this change was occurring. My mind was in many different places, but the one issue that kept occurring was the AP test. Is PDLA really going to prepare us for an AP exam primarily based on speaking? We need to be able to have conversation-based speaking, not by submitting a video or simply repeating what we hear on the PDLA system. Foreign language classes at Plum Senior High School follow a certain curriculum referred to as Curriculum A. PDLA follows a different curriculum, however, referred to as Curriculum B. For the past 4 years, other students and I have been taught through Curriculum A. How are we supposed to simply shift and learn Curriculum B as we are approaching our senior year in our final moments of high school? As a student who plans to minor in Spanish in college, I firmly believe I will not obtain a good enough year of Spanish learning through PDLA to be comfortable going into my freshman year of college. Other students and I who plan to take this course have been given different reasons as to why this class is not occurring in person. The main one we hear is the lack of students. The magic number we keep hearing is 10 students, while currently 3 are enrolled to take AP Spanish this upcoming school year in the fall. I would like to point out that multiple classes at Plum Senior High School are currently being taught with less than 10 students, so I don't see how this is an issue. AP Music Theory has 8, AP CSA has 6, and AP Literature has 5, just to name a few. AP Spanish has also been taught with 4 students prior to the school year. When we enrolled in Spanish 1, we were forced to sign a paper stating we would continue through AP Spanish. When signing this paper, there were only 8 students. That means there were less than 10 when we signed the papers. That meant the class was always planned to be taught with less than 10. Signing those papers in 8th grade was not an option. If we wanted to take Spanish 1 and start our Spanish career early to get to AP, we had to sign those papers. There was no other way around it. We've been told we are getting PDLA, however. We've been told we are getting AP Spanish, but not through a PDLA system, however. When we signed those papers, PDLA was not a thing at Plum Senior High School. PDLA came into our school system last school year due to the COVID pandemic, but no one knew what it was when signing those papers, so why can it suddenly just change? AP Spanish has a huge speaking portion, might I add. How are we supposed to learn this when AP Spanish videos on PDLA are pre-recorded? We need communication and we need conversation. We cannot be expected to pass an AP exam involving speaking when the only way we will receive this is what those videos give to us. How will we receive enough educational feedback? Even if we receive a 3 on the AP exam, not all colleges accept that, as they primarily look for 4s and 5s on an AP exam. As we know, the current AP Spanish teacher is Mrs. Ortiz. Personally, I've been a student of Mrs. Ortiz for 2 years now, my freshman year in Spanish 2 and currently enrolled in Spanish 4. I've had nothing but phenomenal experiences with Mrs. Ortiz, and she has always provided her students with extra resources to further their Spanish knowledge and help them when they were struggling. I firmly believe Mrs. Ortiz will provide us with the best education possible and enhance our Spanish knowledge through our senior year. How can you feel it is okay to rip this phenomenal teacher away from students who feel comfortable with her right before their junior year ends and they're technically seniors, approaching their final moments of high school and scared for what's to come? According to the College Board, AP stands for Advanced Placement. This means AP Spanish is not a normal Spanish class, it's an advanced Spanish class. AP classes typically require more time and work, so how is it fair for us to be pushed out of a classroom and sit in front of a computer screen again for our class? We aren't even given the choice to have this in person, and that's plain wrong. PDLA classes give the option for in-person online, but apparently that doesn't apply to us. Instead of being given a choice, we are told to take it at all, it has to be online. Is it really okay for us not to be given the in-person option? Simply, we are being told if we want to take the class, we have to deal with how bad the online version is. This will not prepare us for the AP exam, and we all know it. As a student who plans to minor in Spanish in college, I personally need this class as an in-person option to have a chance to be successful my freshman year of college and feel comfortable moving forward. I would like everyone to look at the back door where it says the time is always right to do what is right. This is not a time, this right time that we are referring to is to keep Spanish, AP Spanish as an in-person option with Mrs. Ortiz. It is not right to take it away from these bright students who have worked and pushed so hard to get here. I stand up here before you, asking you to reconsider the prior decision and leave AP Spanish as an in-person course with Mrs. Ortiz. I stand here before you to help represent the 3 bright students who have worked and pushed so hard to get to where we are. I stand here before you as someone who knows this class will significantly help them to their future goals. I stand here as a student who values their education. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Stephen Jones. I'm a junior at this high school, and I'm also a current Spanish student. I just want to add on to what my former friend and classmate said, because she basically covered everything. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just want to express how important this class will be for our success in the AP exam. This PDLA course will only cover about half of the knowledge we will need. We'll only be given the interpretive communication aspects, which is only 50% of the test. The interpersonal speaking and writing and personal writing, speaking and writing will be completely missed. That gives our odds of getting a 5, that cuts it in half. This test in particular, the AP Spanish test, is known to be one of the harder ones on the list. And you typically need to be taught how to take the test, not just how. Again, the PDLA course will not do this for us whatsoever. All 3 of us are considering minoring in Spanish. This decision could be detrimental to our future. Now, the contracts she brought up are an essential part in our success here. In 8th grade, we were scared that if we didn't want to take AP Spanish, it would get held against us. Now, here we are, nearly 4 years later, and now we have to fight for this class because of our passion. I heard a quote once that goes like this: "The world isn't out to get you, it just doesn't care about you." I believe this is where our problem stems from. We didn't lose this class out of spite, but simply due to lack of consideration. I would just like to add that we are fully aware that the school board is not directly involved in this, but we feel that raising awareness would help tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No one else?
So close.
Hello, everybody. Justin Jehovic, 20 Leanne Court. So I was actually felt very convicted by your speech that then the sign in the back, that the time is always right to do what is right. So I wasn't planning on speaking, but I was looking through some stuff, and then Mr. Feeney had said it was difficult to find information. I've said before, I've been an advocate for many of you. I believe in almost all of you. I love a few of you, and I just don't want any of you to disappoint me or anyone else, nor each other. So this might be a little bit awkward, and it might be completely wrong, but I think that I've always been an advocate of over-communicating and be communicative. Some things have been good. They were good attempts. They kind of failed to being communicative and having people included and having good decorum. I agree that there should be better decorum, less politics and things. I totally agree with that. And usually the truth really brings that out. So when I come to the truth, when I look for the information for the budget, I think that the reason that people aren't here is because they don't know as much. So looking on the website, and if you could pull the website up under finance, I don't know if we opted out in September or January for the resolution for opt-out. So it's skipping to today. I don't think we opted out. Did we opt out?
Yes.
We opted out. Okay. So the proposed budgets that are there for the opt-outs and the one that's there today is actually Freeport's budget for Armstrong County, if I look on the website. So, and I don't know if it was communicated by other means for the budget that's on there. If you look on the website right now, you can actually bring it up right on the screen, because I have it right here too. If you look on May 24th, board action, school district deadline, adopt proposed final budget, it lists Freeport on there, so for Armstrong County. Now, granted, you guys just passed it and all that stuff. I'm just saying it may not have been communicated or shared with the public. I don't know the means of it, but that could be the reason why people aren't here. And they might have known just when it started going around for those things. So that might be explanatory. I don't know if that invalidates anything or procedurally messes it up for your adoption of it, It may, I mean, that would be a legal matter that would need to be reviewed, but it may be something that would have to be talked about on the next meeting or something like that. But I think that it might be a good idea to republish it and then come back to it, maybe do a second vote. Again, procedurally, that would be up to you guys, but it looks like it might not have been communicated well, I guess would be the way I would say that. So that's it. That's all I got.
Mr. Caligiuri, can I ask Mr. Manzer to make one clarification? The vote tonight was to publicly post the budget. We have not finalized that vote, correct?
The information provided to the board was correct. I was not aware that there was actually links on this document on the website, but there are incorrect links on the website, and we will make sure that is corrected.
Okay. So I don't know the communication mechanism that was done for it, but.
Thank you. Mrs. Wedmore, it is the proposed final budget, which has to be posted for 30 days.
Correct.
So just so that everyone's clear. And thank you for pointing that out.
Sure. I just didn't know about the opt-out stuff or what that did. Thank you.
One more.
And can I just ask for future reference, one, the budget workshops are posted.
Yes.
We post those, and we do have, even if what was on there had an incorrect link from Mr. Manzer's perspective, we do have many, many financial documents on there for all of the math nerds that would want to go and read through all of them. Yeah.
Specifically on the board agenda links.
Yep.
Those documents are all correct.
Yep.
The only place was on the website.
Yeah, and the CARES Act information on ESSERS, how we're spending that, all of that is there as well, correct?
So is the
Yep.
budget
That
presentation.
Yep, and the budget presentation, exactly, from Mr. Manzer. Yep.
That opt-out piece is just to go above the index, which we decided not to.
Right.
There are ability to request referendum exceptions, and we did not do that.
Mr. Newman.
Hi, Justin Newman, 503 Pearson Run Road. There seems to be a lot of topic of communication, Facebook being a prime example. I don't see it anywhere on a budget, or I'm sorry, on the itinerary. So is there something like a social media team that can be put into place, be it a student, be it someone on the board, someone that runs like the school board social media team? I think that would alleviate a lot of the infighting that seems to be happening. Obviously, it's not going to end the infighting, but I also know that for the he said, she said that's going around with all the, well, he said this and she said that, and we don't have this information. I believe we're all able to file a right to know the information that is readily available, so that would completely end the, well, he said this and she said that. So I think if that information was readily available, that would help out a lot of the people that here that don't know what is happening. And then it's just an aside, I'm also on Facebook, I read that when people were talking about the school name change, that a couple of the students were upset that Plum Middle School is going to be PMS. And we all know how kids are going to be, so my suggestion is Plum Borough Middle School. Solves the problem. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just to respond, just to let you all know, I did file the right to know. And they're saying they're gonna have the information to me regarding these emails by June 5th, so then everyone will know what they said. And as far as, I just want to make a comment about kindergarten. My daughter went to the full day of kindergarten back in, I guess it was 2006. When you're considering this, considering the structure of their day, please. Because if you give them a full day of kindergarten, what it used to consist of was some coloring in the morning and some worksheets, then a nap, then lunch, then another nap. Recess is in there a couple times too. And then they're basically going home. So half the time that they're there, at least that's what it was back then. So if you're gonna do this full day of kindergarten, please come up with a better structure than napping half the time. Otherwise, just stick to the half day. That's it.
Thank you.
Say that when my son went to kindergarten, there was no naps in his class, so I don't know, and that was, I don't know, he's 12, so do the math.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, upcoming meetings, upcoming public meetings. Board discussion meeting Tuesday, June 14th, 2022 here at 7 PM here in the library. Board action meeting Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 at 7 PM here in the library. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm dying to oppose one thing. Thank you.